Hello and welcome to another knitting pod. I am Lena and it is May 9th. It is a beautiful, cool, cozy spring day here in Boulder, Colorado. I have so much to share with you guys today. So much fun making both knitting and a little bit of spinning. So if you're up for that, please spend the next 45 minutes with me. I would be so happy. If you're new, welcome. I hope you find something entertaining. Let's jump right in. I really do feel like it's been, even though May has been crazy busy, I feel like I've squeezed in a lot of making, which probably explains why, even though it's been really hectic, I've been very happy. So that makes me happy to share. I do have a finished object to share with you. However, the ends are not woven in, but that's okay. We're just going to go with it. It is the 12 Birds shawl, the knit along that just ended a week or two ago by Helen Stewart. I'm going to lift it up so you can see it in its entirety. It is a beautiful lace shawl that I made in a singles lace weight, singles fingering weight by Farmer's Daughter Fiber, the Foxy Lady base. And you guys, it's beautiful. I just can't believe how fast 6 weeks went and that I stayed on track the whole time. It is a Christmas miracle. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've been talking about this so much. I'm very happy with the end result. I think it's beautiful. I love this panel with the beautiful variegated skein that I used. Meet Me in Atlantic City is the name of that skein. And it's just a really pretty color combination, very unusual. And it's light as a feather. Seriously, you guys, it feels so silky smooth and beautiful. Obviously, there is silk in this merino blend. So yeah, I'm really, really happy I did it. I enjoyed the process. I'm not going to say I wish it were longer because I was quite happy to bind off. By the end, I think I was a little bit tired. I think the whole last clue was repetitive. Let me just show you the border. It's this, you can see the border there, just some eyelets and, decreases to make like a little spine there in the center, which was all good, but it just was kind of boring by the end. And I was happy to bind off. I still have some weaving in to do. I got lazy. I did some of the end weaving and then I really wanted to block it because lace just opens up so beautifully when you block it. But yeah, it is over. And now I have a lot of leftover yarn. I am truly thinking I could make an entire second shawl, but that is an issue for another day because I got a real sense of the difference between knitting with a singles base and knitting with 4-ply fingering weight. After I finished this, I picked up a different shawl that I was in progress, and it is a 4-ply shawl. And I just realized how much more enjoyable knitting with 4-ply is for me personally. There's just so much more body and weight and substance to the yarn, and it just feels, I don't know. I like the feel better than the single. The singles are almost like they're just so weightless. And then especially in lace, it just feels almost like you're kind of having to really hold on, if that makes any sense. And however, I will say the way singles knit up into a lace pattern is stunning. The yarn just opens up beautifully. It shows the patterns and the stitch definition really nicely. So I am happy I did not do the 24 birds because I thought this was just the perfectly sized, enjoyable pattern for me. A lot of times, because it is an MCAL, you're just kind of putting your faith in the designer and you're just along for the ride. And I don't need like too terribly much of that. I thought this was just the perfect size. So that is a finished object. I mean, we're in month 5, and it's so fun. I've done a good job this year. I've been really trying. I have a document on my computer where I just keep track of my FOs. And because I'm terrible, as you guys know, I'm so bad about Ravelry. It's like every month I make a resolution to myself to do post on Ravelry, and it just doesn't happen. I don't know why. It doesn't really matter. If you don't feel like doing something, then you shouldn't do it. So this is a way, just having this document to keep track of my projects. I really like it because it's such a nice way to see all the things you're making in such a succinct way. And it inspires me to keep making, because in 5 months, my document is fairly long. I've made a good amount of stuff this year, and that makes me happy. So I get to add that one to my FO list. So of course, all of us knitters know that the second we cast something off, it's just like either off to cast something else on or keep on making progress on something else. So I actually have to say I'm proud of myself that I didn't jump into another cast on. I actually am working on my 2 other works in progress, and I'm really enjoying them. The first one I'm going to share with you is the Shizen by Eri Shimizu. You guys have seen this before. However, I have made a lot of progress. What I did actually was, when I was about here, I decided it was probably about time that I tried on this garment. It's just one of those garments that is sort of addictive to knit, and to try garments on mid progress, you have to put it all onto some knitting cords, and it's sort of one of those things. But I'm really glad I did, because when I tried it on, I found that it was so constricted and it just did not look nice. The garment I was aiming for had a lot of positive ease and was just like, had this airy kind of spring sweater kind of look. And when I tried it on, it didn't feel like that at all. I didn't like it. It looked terrible on me. So I took a pause, I took a deep breath, and I decided, don't be hasty, because I was almost about to jump to the dump and rip it out. But I decided to just wet block it, like as if it was a finished garment, and see what that did to it. Because the entire garment is made out of ribbing, as you can see, various types of ribbing. And through my limited knitting experience, I know ribbing, when you're knitting it, is very contracted. And once you wet block it, a lot of times it just opens up so much. So that is exactly what happened. Once I blocked it and it dried and I tried it on again, it had opened up an immense amount. Like, it's almost comical what the before and after were. It just went from being this just horrible looking, squished up garment to just this beautiful drapey, exactly what I wanted. So I'm really glad I didn't rip it out. It's always good to take a second before you make any big decisions with your projects to maybe you do just block it and see how it's turning out. The only thing that I will say about this is this horizontal braid that comes here. You can see 2 things about it. I wished it was just maybe like a centimeter or 2 lower, because I was hoping it would be right under the bust, and I feel like it's just slightly elevated, which is fine. And I will also say that if you have a larger bust, I really don't know if this is a garment you will love, because I don't know, the way that seam lies, I just don't know. That's my gut instinct. You might want to just look at the project pages on Ravelry if you have a bigger bust and you really want to make this, because I almost wonder if you would be better off leaving that horizontal braid off, because then you wouldn't have to worry about it hitting a weird place in your bust or making you look like, I don't know. I don't have that problem, so I don't know exactly what the problem would be, but I think there might be an issue there. The other thing that drives me a little bit crazy, and I try to disengage from perfection in my knits because I just don't think that's what hand knitting is about. Like, I think hand knitting is the beauty of something that is made by hands and therefore inherently has inconsistencies. But this, I showed you guys last time, that elongated stitch, I have no idea what created that. I'll try to stretch it out a little more for you so you can really see it there. Do you see how elongated that stitch is? I don't know why, but I don't like it. And when I tried it on, I don't like it. But there's just nothing to be done about it. I think if you made that horizontal braid tighter, it would like cinch in a weird way, and then you wouldn't have that nice drapey garment. So I don't know why that's happened in mine. I'm a very loose knitter. When I look at her, the actual project page, her official garment on her, she does not have this weird elongated knit stitch look. But you know what? I think, again, you could spin it as part of the braid detail. I don't know, maybe you can't, but it is what it is. I'm not gonna rip it out. I like it. And you know, you can't tell in a halfway finished garment what it's gonna all look like once it comes together. Once it has sleeves and once it's full length and has the proper, you know, whatever you're gonna wear under it, like a camisole or something, all those things make a difference in what it looks like at the end of the day. So I'm reserving judgment. I'm enjoying the process. I love this yarn for this project. I've said it before, it's linen quill in the colorway Reed Gray. I am at the point now where I have to split again for the bottom. So I love this detail. Again, this garment is just filled with beautiful, simple details that are so well thought out and well edited. And I think that's a big deal to me. I think it's very easy as an artist or a designer to kind of throw the kitchen sink at a project and have it have every bell and whistle you can put in. But I think what elevates it to absolutely beautiful is when the details are edited beautifully. And one of those details is the split hem. I love a split hem. I think it's so pretty. So I'm about to split for the front and the back, and I just haven't had time to sit down and follow the pattern yet. So I need to do that, and I will do that, but I am really excited about this garment. It's just flying by. I've found it so fun. It's a great, easy knit to take on the go, and it is what has been in my knitting bag. So the Shizen by Eri Shimizu, it is marching along. Hopefully I will have finished the body by the time we visit again. However, that is not what has been just giving me all the joy and happiness. What's been giving me all the joy and happiness is my Bubbles in Brio shawl. This very morning, I couldn't believe I finished the brioche section. My son, I had to take him to physical therapy this morning, so I got to sit there with him while he was being treated for like an hour and some odd minutes. So I finished the brioche section and I was so happy about it. Let me show you how beautifully it's turned out. It's all squished up because it's too long for its cords now, but let me just stretch out the brioche a little so you can see. Look how beautifully dimensional that brioche is. There's something about brioche, both knitting it and touching it and feeling it. It is a magical technique. I know this sounds weird, but it literally reminds me of especially in this black and white, it reminds me of like bones or a spine or something. It is just such a cool technique. And juxtaposed with the bright colors and the roundness of the bubble section, I think the garter stripes and the brioche just talk about perfectly edited details. I think this is one of Stephen West's least appreciated shawls. I don't know why nobody else thinks that this shawl, maybe you do, but there's so little fanfare for this shawl. And I think it's one of his best shawls ever. I've had it in my library forever, literally since I started knitting. I've had it in my library waiting to be made. And now I just can't tell you how much I love it. I love the colors. I love that this is all stash yarn of mine. I love the feel of it. Like I don't want to say sturdiness, but the heft of this 4-ply yarn as compared to the merino silk singles that I was knitting with before this. Like I think a couple of these are single ply yarns, but they're still a little bit more hefty than the Farmer's Daughter Fibers singles. So these are all just various scraps from over the years. And then this black gray one is an alpaca fiber. And then the white is leftovers from my painting bricks shawl. It is high country wool in their flock base. So isn't the back even gorgeous? Like look at the back of the bubbles. I think it's so cool. You know, Stephen West is my original love, my original inspiration for knitting. Like I have fiber on my nose now, sorry. I only started knitting. I was only inspired to struggle and try to learn to knit because I had had many failed attempts at knitting before because of Stephen West. I knew I could not live until I made these shawls. Like when I stumbled across him, I knew my life had literally been changed, and it has. I have become a crazy knitting lady. But it's like this shawl specifically has brought me back to where I started. I think it's so easy in knitting. I fell in love with Stephen West, and then the knitting world is immensely vast. It is as vast as the real world. And I just feel like I've been tumbling down every designer's rabbit hole and all of that. And now I feel like I've come back home to what inspired me from the beginning. And so this shawl has like really special place in my heart. I don't know why, but like I'm kind of back to being obsessed with Stephen West and just being so filled with gratitude for his joyful spirit and his bravery at being so unabashedly himself in the knitting world. And it's just so inspirational. Like you should never compromise what makes you unique, because what makes you unique is exactly the thing that can sometimes make us insecure. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, I'm blathering now, but Stephen West brings that out in me. I just feel so inspired that I start to just go on and on. But this first brioche section wasn't as fun as this brioche section, I think, because this one has a lot of increases and you're just kind of having to manage a lot of stitches in a very constricted space, and it just wasn't that fun. So when I got to this section, I was almost like, should I just replace it with garter stitch and just do another horizontal stripe section? And you guys, I am so glad I did not do that. I enjoyed this brioche section so much that I was sad when I finished this last row. Brioche is just so much fun, especially for me when it's simple and there's not all these crazy increasing and decreasing. It's just a real joy. I don't know. If you haven't learned brioche yet, please, please do. It is so much fun and adds such a unique look to your knitting. And if this were an interactive platform, you could feel the squishiness made even more joyful by the fact that the black gray is alpaca, and it is absolutely glorious. So now I get to cast on the last section of bubbles, and I'm actually really excited about it because I love working with color. The only thing I don't love about the bubbles is that there's going to be some really long pearl rows, but that's okay. That is just part of knitting, and they look so beautiful. It is totally worth it. This shawl just has so much texture and dimension, and he is a genius. Like, I love him. I love him. I love him. I know he's in Iceland with Linda right now, and I love seeing their pictures on Instagram. It just makes me so happy. They were wearing matching sweaters, and it makes me so happy to see them together. They're just such a cute little duo. Okay, I kind of fell into, again, just the joy of looking at all of Stephen West's patterns on Ravelry. And I really think if you haven't learned brioche or you haven't done brioche in a long time, his patterns, some of them are like all brioche, and no thank you. I'm sorry, but I am not up for an entire shawl with brioche because it's a lot. You're knitting every single row 2 times, and that in a full shawl or full sweater is a little too much for me. However, he has so many beautiful pieces that have brioche sections, and I just wanted to highlight 2 of my favorites in case you're feeling a little tempted by my waxing on and on about brioche. This obviously is a spectacular option, and I cannot recommend this shawl enough. I think it is going to be a showstopper, and I can't wait. And I think you can make it in your favorite color palette. My colors, I've been trying to work with more sophisticated dark colors, but you can't fight nature, and whatever makes your heart sing, makes your heart sing, and this makes my heart sing. So rainbow is where it's at for me, so I decided to go full on, no pulling punches with my love of color. So mine is fully colorful. Maybe you're super into muted earthy tones, or maybe you want like literally to do all different tones of blue or something like that. I think this would be beautiful in any of those things. But the other shawl of his that I have loved from the second I saw it, and I really want to make this. Hold on, I'm gonna pull up the picture so that I can look at it while I talk about it. It is the Fiber Fest shawl. Is that what it's called? Hold on, I forgot. The Fiber Fest shawl. I think this is one of his newer ones. I think he designed this in last year. First of all, he is a color genius. Like these 3 colors, these are by Prue yarns. I think she dyed them specifically for him for this shawl. I think it was for the Love Madrid Yarn Festival. I just think these colors go so well together. And what surprises me about that is normally I wouldn't think that the warm oranges and hot pink would go so nicely with the cool purpley pink tones, but it's like a match made in heaven. I would love to do this in those 3 exact yarns, and I'm sure I will never do that because I think they were a limited edition, and I'm not going to get them shipped over from Europe. But I love this shawl because it has 2 things I love. Short rows in shawls. Short rows in shawls are, I don't know why, but they are so much fun to do, and they add so much visual interest in the finished project because your eye is automatically intrigued by the fact that it's off center, but the whole thing still has a symmetrical shape. So it's like symmetrical and asymmetrical at the same time. And the actual process of knitting short rows to me is really fun. And then it has these really cute little, I think it has like little baubles. I thought that's what it said in the thing, but now yes, it does. So there's panels of brioche, and then there's these other striped sections with little baby baubles. And it's just, again, I really like when knitting has texture and dimension as well as color. It just makes your brain sparkle when you look at it. So I think the brioche sections look really straightforward and very easily doable, even as a beginner. And then the panels that intersperse are so interesting. And I think it just ends in the most spectacular brioche border. Like, I mean, come on, you guys. I'm putting up pictures, but it is like, I don't know. I just love it so, 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 so much. Like, this is what gives me a little hesitation about doing his mystery knit along in October, because as much as I want to do it, I almost would rather put my knitting energy into something like this that I know I love so much, as opposed to taking a gamble on something that I'm not sure if I'll love as much. Tell me what you guys think. I think this is the perpetual pull, and I know I just pivoted subjects, but the pull of the mystery knit along is to be doing it with everybody and to like learn all the new techniques, which is one of my favorite things about Stephen Westshall mystery knit along, which I did not feel like I got that satisfaction out of the Helen Stewart one. Like, I didn't learn anything new. I wasn't challenged. It wasn't hard. It just kind of was like just unknown and unfolding over a certain number of weeks. But I really, really enjoy the process of being so challenged with Stephen West, where like you're really having to learn something new and kind of stretch your skills. And I didn't feel like that with this past mystery knit along. Anyway, I'm like all over the place. I apologize. But my point was, with the mystery knit alongs, you're seeding all your knitting energy into something that you don't even know if you're going to really love, as opposed to working on something that you're obsessed with and you want and have to have as a finished project. So I don't know. I guess I've got several months to square that away in my mind, and I'm sure I will feel very excited to jump on the bandwagon for the mystery knit along with Stephen West. But circling back to what I was originally talking about, I think this shawl is a stunner, and I would love to know if you've made it, and I really want to make it. It is high on my make it list. And I think because it's just 3 colors of beautifully hand-dyed yarn, so many of us are guilty of going out into the world and purchasing like random stunning skeins of fingering weight sock yarn, and then we get home and we're like, oh, like, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, I have this one random skein that matches nothing. Well, problem solved. This shawl would be such a great way to see 3 different colors just come together so beautifully. And the way brioche, 2-color brioche, plays with color, like nothing else plays with color like that. Okay, I think I've sold you on that. The other sweater that it's a sweater, not a shawl, that of his that has brioche in it that is so, so, so pretty. It's called the Bri Ornate. Make sure that's what it's called. Oh boy, I'm a hot mess today, y'all. Yes, Bri Ornate sweater. It is, I think, a DK weight sweater. And it reminds me a lot of his Dustland sweater in that it's very similar in the shaping, if not the same. I'm going to put both up so you can see. They both have different sections of the sweater in different textural patterns in one color, which is, I would say, more like a twist for Stephen West. Normally it's like a lot of colors and a lot of everything, but this is, I don't know, it just looks so cool in a sweater when it's monochromatic, but the textures are changing. And I think it would make for some really entertaining knitting. I just don't think you would get bored with this at all. It has this really cool, I don't know what he calls it, but the ribbing, it's just really unique. And then it has brioche, 1-color brioche, which is just a very dimensional look. And then it has these beautiful dip stitches that he used in his last mystery knit along. And I didn't think much of them until I saw my friend Sharon. She did that mystery knit along. And in person, those dip stitches are so freaking cool looking. The effect of those is so neat. I just don't think you can get how cool they look off of the screen or off of a two-dimensional picture. But all those different textures combined just look so neat. The Dustland sweater has just a few different textures. Like I think it has diagonal ribbing and moss stitch and various things. Also in that same West Wool tandem, I think, whatever that DK weight yarn is. But so pretty. And just having that brioche, given, I mean, granted, this is one color brioche, but it's so beautiful. I just think this sweater is so cool. And I know you're thinking, why would I knit a sweater going into the summer? But this might be something that keeps you entertained all summer. And then when the weather turns cool, you're rocking the coolest sweater ever and everybody's super jealous. So I don't know, think about it. I really love this sweater. It is high on my list, and I love it in that beautiful lavender color he's made it, but you could obviously pick your favorite color and enjoy that sweater. So those are two patterns of Stephen West that jumped out at me that have brioche sections, so you get to enjoy the process of brioche without being like totally burned out and overwhelmed by it. Yeah, you guys, those are my favorites right now. And I'm telling you, I am so back to just being so smitten with all of Stephen West's everything. And it's so funny. He posted something on Instagram yesterday where he was literally winding a skein of yarn. And I literally sat and watched the whole clip. He was going like this, just sitting there going like this. And I was like completely intrigued in watching it because he's just so, I don't know, he's just so magnetic. And I just love him. I love him. And I'm really enjoying knitting that shawl wherever it went. I don't even know what I did with it. Oh, it's right here. Okay, I'm gonna take one more sip of water before we change subjects. Okay, so I realized today that Sunday is Mother's Day. And that's kind of crazy because this is the first Mother's Day ever. And I'm going to get really sad just even saying this, that my firstborn won't even be here. The person that made me a mother won't even be here. It's so rude. But he has a basketball tournament, which is apparently always on Mother's Day, which I don't understand at all. Like, why would you schedule a travel tournament on Mother's Day? All these boys have mothers that want to be with them. I don't understand it. But anyway, whatever. He'll be back in the evening, so I'm hoping we get a little bit of time together because he's leaving again on Monday, but that's okay. It is his time in his life to fly, and I have to just deal with the fact that he's a busy boy. But anyway, last year, I accidentally started a tradition for myself that I cast on a shawl on Mother's Day. Okay, it was an accidental tradition because I recall this very clearly because it brought me so much joy. I had been at one of my local yarn shops that week before, and I had seen a sample of the Isabel Kramer shawl, A Girl's Best Friend, on the mannequin, and I thought, oh my God, it's so pretty. I love that, and it's so different from anything I'd ever made. I'd never knit anything by Isabel Kramer, and they were like, yeah, we have these kits with 6 and 7 fiber, and I was like, oh, that's nice, and I went home. And like, as it happens, you know how this happens to knitters. It happens to me all the time where like something will land in my brain and I don't really think much of it, but then the seed is planted and then I grow obsessed. So by Sunday, I was totally obsessed and I just had to have one of those kits. And so my daughter and I went up to that yarn shop and bought that kit on Mother's Day. And I literally cast that shawl on that day. I wish I had meant to grab it and I forgot to grab it. Some of you probably remember it. I'll try to wear it next time. But it was just so special and so fun. I loved it. It was like a little gift to myself, and motherhood is just, it's just so, I don't know, it's what I was meant for as much as what knitting is what I was meant for. It's just who I am. And so I want to celebrate that about myself. So it's nice to give yourself something special on that day. And a guilt-free cast on is about as special as it gets for me, okay? So when I realized this morning that it was Mother's Day this weekend, I thought, oh my God, I need to cast something on. And it doesn't have to be new yarn because I have so much yarn. So I was trying to think, like, do I want to cast on this Fiber Festival shawl? But then I don't, because I have this Bubbles and Brio shawl right now, and it's very Stephen Westy, and I don't want to get sidetracked. I actually want to finish it in a timely fashion. So I'm going to stay focused on that. So then I was thinking to myself, what really makes my heart just burst into song? And that is Spin Cycle, okay? It is Spin Cycle yarn. This is my traveler shawl, and I know I wore this last week, but this is a real space, and I was wearing this today, and I love it so much that I decided I don't care that I wore it last week. I'm wearing it again this week. And this week I'm wearing it zhuzhed, you guys. I never wear my shawls like this, but I find that I don't wear this shawl very much because it is an odd shape. It's a little more shallow than I like, and it's very long. Whereas my preferred shawl shape is triangular. I really like a triangular shawl or like a deep half circle shawl because I don't usually wear my shawls like this. I like to wear them just draped around my shoulders. So today I had this long sleeve t-shirt on, and I just decided to try to drape it like this. And I thought it looked so nice and cute. And I thought to myself, this is what I'm wearing. I'm going to let myself try something new without feeling silly, because sometimes I feel like I'm not cool enough to wear a shawl like this, but according to who? So I just decided to wear it, and I love it. And I'm really glad because I loved knitting this. I love this colorway. It's Ghost Ranch in the Dream State weight yarn. And I don't wear it as much as I want to. So now that I've found that I like it draped like this, I feel like I'll wear it more. But like, seriously, you guys, I'm going to undo this as I talk about how great I love it. But I want you to see, look how beautiful this fiber is. Just make sure I'm showing you the right side. I'm not showing you the right side. Here's the right side. This is just one colorway, and it is just so beautiful. I love all the different tones. Like I've said this before about Dreams Spin Cycle, that it's more of a color story than a colorway, because it's just every skein is different. Every skein intermingles colors differently, and there's just nothing like it. It's truly was one of the big reasons I wanted to start spinning, because I wanted to be able to make yarn like this, and I'm pleased to say that that dream is coming true. But I have 3 skeins of Dream State that I bought when I went to Portland, if you remember, because I was going to make the Easy V by Caitlin Hunter. But if you also remember, I realized I had screwed up and didn't get the best colors for that particular piece. So I thought to myself today, why not make a shawl starting with these gorgeous colors of Dream State. This is Ghost Ranch, again, because it's my favorite. It is my favorite colorway of all time. This is Truth Bomb, also just absolutely spectacular. It has all these bright limey colors and the turquoise, and then Salty Dog, which is much more tonal And it has kind of rust and brown and gold and yellow. And when I think of Dream State, I think of Andrea Marie because she, I think, is one of the big reasons like we're all so into Spin Cycle because she just designs beautiful pieces with the Spin Cycle that allows the Spin Cycle to shine. Like you just, a design with Spin Cycle in mind has to like strike a really delicate balance just because the yarn is so, the yarn is the star and the design I think has to kind of either be color work or it just has to kind of be simple enough to allow that yarn to shine. And there's two shawls that I really love of hers. One is the Night Shift shawl. I've told you guys this before. And I just love this shawl. It is mosaic knitting and it has these little blips of different sizes. And I made it once a long time ago in colors that are awful. I was just trying to use up yarn and I don't know, that's back really baby knitter. I didn't have any sense. Like now I would never say just use up yarn. That's not how you approach something as, magical as yarn. We have reverence. We don't just use up yarn. So now that I understand how to approach this shawl, I really want to make it in Spin Cycle. So I was thinking these colors, and then I would need 3 more. So I could start it this week and then get 3 more, when I need them. So the Night Shift is one, and the other one is the Inclinations shawl. I have both patterns in my library. I've purchased both long time ago. The Inclination is also 6 colors of Dream State, but it is in half fisherman's rib. And I believe it's like alternating rows. And then the Night Shift is mosaic knitting. So they both utilize Dream State in alternating colors, but they just have very different effects. I'm putting up pictures of both side by side so that you can see what I'm talking about. Both are beautiful. I'm thinking that the Inclinations shawl might fall into the category, as I was talking about earlier, of its beauty is really more evident when you see it in person. Like you cannot appreciate its beauty by just looking at the picture on the screen. Similar to this, I just don't know that you can do how beautiful this is service in a picture. Whereas the Night Shift, I think it comes across a little more obviously how beautiful it is on the screen. So I'm thinking because I have both patterns in my library, I might knit like a swatch of both because I just really want to see, like, I think the half fisherman's rib almost has a brioche vibe because it's going to have more squish and texture and dimension to the fabric. And then I think the Night Shift shawl interplays the colors in a really fun and cool way. So I don't know. I'm so torn. Let me know what you think. But I'm 99% sure this is going to be my Mother's Day cast on. I like the fact that the Night Shift and the Inclinations are very, very different from the Bubbles and Brio shawl that I'm making. So it won't feel like I really enjoy my knitting the most when I have several projects going on that are very different. Like I find myself kind of depressed if I'm working on 2 things that are really neutral or 2 sweaters, or I just like to have a large variety so that it keeps my knitting days fresh. So tell me what you think. Inclinations or Night Shift? What are we voting for? Have you made them? Which one did you like better? Because I feel like Andrea Marie fans are diehard and they go hard and they make everything she designs, and she designs a lot of things. So I don't know. And then the real fun of it, the real Mother's Day gift is getting to pick 3 more colors. And I can't wait. I've been looking while I was waiting for my husband to leave. I was looking at the Spin Cycle website to see what colors would go with this. I think I want to go with one. I don't remember what it's called, but it's orange. It's orangish. Let me see if I can pull it up. I want to call it Stay in the Forest. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Ba-ba-da-ba-da. Come on, man. Stay out of the forest. Don't stay in the forest. Stay out of the forest. It's like orange and turquoise and maroon, and I think that would be so cool. And then I was thinking of like a something with deep teal, like melancholia is also so pretty. It's like these deep moody blues, because I'm not a big blue person, but I like this, and I think it would be really pretty. And then I was thinking one really deep color, like really dark maroon, something like a really saturated color like that. I don't know. Those are the three I'm thinking, but part of the joy of a project like this is just obsessing over it for days. So if you have any favorites, please tell me what they are. I know some of you, like Michelle, you love your, what are those called? The really beautiful, bright ones, like Valley Girl. Oh, I love Valley Girl. Radical Shift is really beautiful, but because I've got more like moody colors, I'm hesitant to go into like the brights. Like there's another one that I love. What's it called? Levitate. Oh, so pretty. Oh my God. You guys, their colors are so good. But I'm really excited. This is making me feel like it is going to be Mother's Day. So I'm really excited. Tell me if you think you might give yourself a little Mother's Day cast on if you celebrate Mother's Day. I'm really excited about it. I haven't, this was the last thing I worked on. When did I finish this? I think it was this year, but this is all in Dream State. Like it's a huge piece. And I kind of was like, okay, I'm ready to move on to other yarn. And now I'm feeling like I'm ready to work with some spin cycle again. So that's where my heart is feeling very excited. I hope yours is too. Last time we talked about just the mindset of busyness and like how it's almost just a bad habit that we're constantly feeling so chaotic. Even when life is really busy, you can almost be a little bit the eye of the storm where there's some chaos floating around, but maybe you can just try really hard to stay present. As hard as that sounds, I really do think it's a practice that we can work on and find ourselves able to execute a little bit better every time we find ourselves in a chaotic state of life. And I think part of that for me is having beauty and joy and not letting the busyness and chaos take over. And like for me, this is the beauty and the joy. And so being obsessed with it, I give myself permission because it makes me happy. And when I'm happy, everybody else that I take care of is happier. So give yourself that, whatever it is. If it's a new skein of yarn that's $25, give it to yourself. Cast on some fun socks, cast on whatever like really makes you happy. For me, I'm the shawl queen, so I'm always gonna cast on a shawl. There's just something about shawls that makes me so happy because they don't have to fit. Every shawl fits everyone. You just wrap it around and you feel like you're a kid again with your security blanket. So that is that. Let's move on real quick because it's been a long time of me talking. I do want to just show you what I've been spinning just a little bit. And I have to say, late last week, I had all my bobbins full because I had ordered a nitty nutty, which is what you use to take your finished plied yarn off of a bobbin and make a skein out of it. It hadn't come in the mail, so I had no way of emptying my bobbins. So I only had 3 bobbins, and so I couldn't spin anymore. And I don't think I had plied it yet because I was scared to start plying. Anyway, the point is I took several days off of spinning, and then when I sat down again to spin, I felt like all the muscle memory had receded and I couldn't do it. And I was so bummed. But then I just took a deep breath and it's like, it's okay. One of you left the most helpful comment. I think it was Meg. I think her name was Meg. she was like, you know, what helped me when I started spinning was knowing that I don't have to be spinning to make yarn for a knitting project. I can just spin yarn to spin yarn. Like that can be the finished product. And that just really helped me because what I was feeling was like, oh, I'm wasting all this beautiful fiber because I suck at spinning and I'm creating yarn that's unusable. But then I decided to stop thinking about it like that. Like, how else am I going to build the skills to get better at spinning if I don't first suck at spinning? Like, you first are bad and then you practice and you get better. That's just how it is. And like, if you're trying to become a dancer, you can practice dancing and you're not wasting anything. But when you're an artist and you're trying to paint or spin or knit, sometimes we're using up our precious supplies and it's not going to be great. And that's okay. Like, getting that permission from one of you was very helpful. So thank you for that nugget of wisdom. And so I just practiced and I got my knitting mojo back, and I realized not every fiber is the same. I finally understood why some people are like, this isn't a great beginner fiber to spin with, because some fibers are easy to spin with and others are not. And I procured this beautiful fiber. Look at this gorgeous color, you guys. I got this from the Woolery when I ordered my Nitty Notty and Attentioned Lazy Kate and some new bobbins. I ordered this color. And oh my gosh, this was so much harder to spin than I thought it was going to be. And I realized this wanted to be much thinner than I was trying to make it be. I was trying to make it like a little bit thicker because I wanted a 2-ply yarn that would be worsted, but this just did not want to be that. It wanted to be very thin. And once I accepted that, it was beautiful and perfect. However, it scared me and I put it aside for practice making a much easier to spin yarn. And I want to show you this that I just finished. It's not very expensive. I'm using this wool that I buy at my little local yarn shop. It's not super expensive and it's really easy to spin. And I love this color. It's such a beauty. It reminds me of Fresh Nutmeg by Linen Quill. But I want to ply this and this together. And would that not make the prettiest yarn? So I just finished this. I'm gonna start trying to spin this. So I'm really excited about that. And I wanted to show you the most spectacular thing I got in the mail. Oh my gosh, I just couldn't resist. I kind of feel guilty for this purchase, but I ordered an entire bag of fiber from Hedgehog Fibers. You guys, can you just, there are no words. Like, look at that. I haven't even touched it to actually spin it because I'm terrified. I cannot waste this beauty. Like, I just need to get better at spinning before I start trying to spin this because I cannot handle wasting this. So I got I think it's called Lucky Dip. I don't know what it's called. But it's just various fibers, and I picked the pinks, obviously, because I love pink. I mean, hello. I cannot stand the beauty. Look at this bit. Even if you're not a spinner, you have to agree that this is about as beautiful as anything you've ever seen in your entire life. So, my question for you spinners out there is, do you make this into a 2-ply, or do you just make 1-ply out of it and then ply it with a neutral to kind of stretch it? Because I really don't know how much this will come out to. This is 250 grams, I want to say. What is it? Yeah, 250 grams. I just don't know. I don't know enough to make good use out of this. So I'm just setting it aside. I'm working on spinning fiber that's much less precious to me so that when I build enough skill to attack this with confidence, I will do exactly that. But any tips you guys have on how to work with beautiful hand-dyed top like this, please, please, please share your tips with me. I know one of you had said in a comment that you apply brightly colored hand-dyed stuff like that with a neutral in order to stretch it and make it pop. So I would love any and all advice you have. There are a couple of Andrea Marie shawls and a couple of hedgehog fiber shawls that are especially designed to highlight hand spun like this. So I'm really excited. That's my goal, is to make enough to knit a shawl out of my own hand spun. And then all my dreams will have come true and I can die a happy person. Anyway, okay. It's been 55 minutes of me rambling, but I do have to tell you really quick about the books that I'm reading because they are so good. Let me just pull up my notes because otherwise I will forget and then I'll be bummed that I forgot to share it with you. So first of all, I finished a book called Olga D Dreaming. I told you guys about it last week. It was by Xochitl Gonzalez and it was so good. Please read it. I enjoyed it so much. It was the perfect book that you learn about a different culture. At least it's a different culture for me. I learned a lot about history, the history of Puerto Rico, the Puerto Rican people, the Puerto Rican diaspora, and a wildly entertaining, fun, compelling, well-written story by an author I had never encountered before. Highly recommended. Olga D Dreaming. Go forth and read it. I loved it, especially because the last book I loved was James by Percival Everett. And that was so heavy. And ever since that, I've been trying to find a book to kind of balance out the energy of that book. And this book accomplished that. I loved it, loved it, loved it. I loved the characters. I loved the strong female voice. I loved her journey to becoming a real strong female. It was beautiful. Please, you're welcome. And now I'm reading 2 books, which I don't usually do, but it just so happened because Libro FM was having a sale and I found several books for $5 that I downloaded that I was very excited about. So I started one of them, which is The Alice Network by Kate Quinn. It is a historical novel set during both World War I and World War II. And it's very good. I love it. And then I got a book off Libby finally that I've been on the wait list for months. So I didn't want to turn it down. And it is Family Family by Lori Frankel. So I decided, they're so different in every way that I could actually multitask because sometimes I'm in the mood for one and sometimes I'm in the mood for the other, just like with my knitting projects. And I feel kind of like I've hit the jackpot because I love both of them. So I get a toggle between 2 incredible books. If you haven't read This Is How It Always Is by Lori Frankel, I highly, highly recommend it. It is one of my favorite books of all time. It is just such a good book. So this is really multi-recommendations. Family Family is also great. I'm really enjoying it. It's about adoption. I recommended to you guys a couple months ago, Any Other Family, which was also about adoption. If you read that and liked it, I feel like you would love this book. I think it's better than that one. And then The Alice Network, if you like historical fiction, it's really good. I really love it. And that's all I have to say about that. I did want to tell you that because I live for book recommendations and I secondarily live to give you guys book recommendations because it's just one of the things we share and love together. Okay, guys, I better stop talking now. I feel like I have taken up more than my allotment of your precious time. I hope you have a lovely weekend. If you are a mother, please celebrate yourself. Please recognize that The world goes round because of what you do. And yes, you do more than your share. And I hope you feel loved by your children on Mother's Day. I remember when my kids were little, I used to be like, they would act the worst on Mother's Day. And it just now looking back on those years when they were little, it makes me laugh. But I can tell you, wasn't laughing then. I recall crying in the closet 1 year or 2 years. So if your kids are acting up, I promise it'll go by very quickly, even though it doesn't feel like it. And then you'll be like me, you won't even have your children with you. So that's a bummer. But I will have my daughter back. So my daughter gets back from her camping trip tomorrow. My son leaves tonight. So my husband and I have like 12 hours with no children in the house. We're gonna try to squeeze in a hike tomorrow, which is Friday. So I'm taping this early in order to make that happen. So anyway, that is what's on the horizon for me. I hope you have a wonderful weekend and give yourself whatever makes you extra happy. Eat your favorite food, drink your favorite drink, and have your Mother's Day cast on and tell me all about it. Okay? Have a lovely weekend and I'll see you next week. Bye.